name's Jamie Lee. Welcome to In the Front Row. Today I'm joined by my friend Marley over at Marley Loves Film and Tyrone over at the Circle Club. We are chatting the epic, wild, insane, crazy, any other cool adjectives that you want to chuck out here, finale of Gen V. What did you guys think of this? Yeah?
Explosive.
No,
Explosive
that
finale.
was my reaction. Wow. It was when I first saw it, it was like I was like, is that 35 minutes or like but on the time, the duration, I was like, that doesn't seem like enough time for a finale, especially with what's going on here. Every scene, boom, 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 something's going on. Just to start it out, like with Ashley, when Ashley comes into a scene, I'm like, because she's gonna be like, you got to do this, you got to do that. F you, like move out the way, and like I love how when like the door opened there, she was like, close the fucking door, like, and it's just super intense. So I love Ashley. She's awesome. She's a great character.
Yeah, definitely. Before we get to Ashley's scene, though, we open where we left off from last week. So we have the gang at Shetty's apartment where, she's just done this. And they talk about the situation, and Emma makes me laugh here because she's like, the situation's bleeding all over the freaking rug.
Yeah, right.
Like, what do you want us to do? It's happened. And then they try and find a solution. And Marie says to Kate, do you know what you've done? She said, I did this for us. I'm going to be a hero. And Sam joined that dark side, if we could call it that, because he wants to be a hero too. And the one person that really stood in their way was Jordan. And I thought that was really cool because I kind of feel like Kate is one of the most, well, apart from Marie, probably the most strongest soup that we've seen in Gen V.
She's super overpowered. Super overpowered.
And to think that she undermines herself thinking that she can't defeat Jordan is like, wow, okay. I know Jordan's strong, but I didn't see Jordan as a character that could affect Kate as much as she thinks it could. But anyway, so Jordan was the only one to stand in her way there, but obviously they head off to the woods there. What did you think about that quick little opening?
I need to see more of Lizzie Broadway, her name is, who plays Emma. I just can't. I want to see her in more things. Like she just does a really good job to me of like being serious, being funny, being dramatic. She's got the teen comedy thing down, but at the same time, like a very adult in some scenes. But I agree with you. Like I that was sort of a shock to me. Like, whoa, I didn't know Kate. I know Jordan was ranked higher, I believe, than Jordan, but like I don't know. I just feel like Kate's so overpowered, and in that moment, she really conveyed and controlled the entire scene. And so yeah, there was a lot of like power dynamics in that scene that I was like, who's in charge here? Who's daddy? Who's mommy? You know what I mean?
I think we all know who daddy is.
Kate is definitely like overpowered, and that's what I love about the scene. But Jordan also, like as you said, like Jamie Lee, is that like she like kind of like butts in and kind of like stands up to like Kate, and that kind of like calls back to like how like what her powers actually represent of her gender bending going between like male and female, like when she needs to. It's very interesting, like dynamic, and I feel like the writers walk a very thin line on being like sexist but also empowering as well. And I feel like they like they're very it walks on the empowering side, like more for Jordan.
They know that because they know the world that they exist in, so and they don't ignore that. And I think a lot of time, I'm not going to use that word that annoys the hell out of me that people say, but like there's that like girl power kind of thing, right? And a lot of times they try to ignore and act as if like, oh yeah, the world like girl power, so we all are on board. But in this, it kind of grounds it where it's like Marie even tells Jordan at some, I think it was last episode or before, it's like, stop switching to your girl version every time it's this or that. It's like, you can still be the same person. And I think that was an interesting thing. Well, that's a very interesting character, obviously great to look at, but like, just both versions of Jordan, but like, just really, I really love that character a lot. And to have Kate and Marie and all those folks in that scene where it's like Shetty's just laying there dead, which I did not see coming in the last few episodes. I was like,
there was so much hype on the internet about, is Shetty really dead? Did Kate make this as an illusion? And there was this big battle of people. I actually put up a poll about it because people are like big on their theories that Dean Shetty's still alive. And I was like, she couldn't.
Tyrone, I'm sure it was on your, like when you were watching this, but I'm not sure about you, Jamie Lee, but Amazon Prime, like when I was watching this episode, it started with a trigger warning, black screen.
Yes.
Did you get that? I'd be interested to know if you had that as well. It just said like this episode contains school violence and stuff like that. So that makes sense because Tyrone and I are in the States.
Yeah.
So it's
and that
I think
is
that's
a
very
triggering
interesting.
thing.
Yeah,
Well,
and
you know what? The whole time when that wild stuff was going on, all I kept thinking was that, like, wow, this is like, I know it's a funny show and we're taking the piss out of a lot of things, but this is also like a triggering reality for some people.
Definitely.
That when that stuff happens, that's reality. You know,
it's
like,
also
that's terrifying. We've talked about this off air.
For sure, yeah, and it's a thing that's. I'm glad you brought that up, Marley, because when I read the warning, I was like, oh my god, is this going to be like a school bang 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 kind of situation? And so like it kind of made me go like, oh boy, is that like, how is that gonna like fall out? And to have it be the same sort of thing, I like what you said about it's a fine line, and it's very powerful as well. But that's so interesting that they didn't have that in Australia.
No, we do. I've got my Prime up now.
Yeah.
This episode contains scenes depicting violence on a school campus. Viewer discretion is advised. So it's obviously for everybody, which is great.
Okay,
but
good.
Very, very sad. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
The Boys has always been commenting on like real world tragedies.
Sure, yeah.
It's nice to see Gen V kind of like follow in their footsteps as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. When we do jump in after that, cut the opening scene there, we have Andre and his dad, Polarity, still in the hospital there. So that was a really good explanation, I guess, as to the extent of using their powers. Like we know with Kate that she had, you know, the blood clotting eyes and that it was affecting her. But this Compound V, like how it affects them, basically, you know, like it's affecting his brain. And the doctor asks about if Andre's experiencing any of these triggers. Like I think he said like the finger twitching and Andre's eyes were like twitching at the same time. So you can see that using their powers does affect them, and that Vought are maybe unintentionally making them sick. I mean, I know Dean Shetty was literally trying, but you know that Compound V is actually making all of them ill.
I think, yeah, I mean, it's it's funny, right? It's almost, again, commentary. It's like the U.S. government, for example, will make weapons or like an idea or something like a lot of people don't know this, like GPS, Bluetooth that we have on our phones, that was like military grade technology that we had, right? And so I think it's kind of similar where it's like these Supes were created to be used and controlled by them, but they didn't really know the effects that it would have on them. They didn't know how it affects society going forward. They thought, let's kind of like make them like farm animals, we'll control them like horses, like cattle. But I think we're starting to see like the effects of that. And what's really interesting to me, I don't want to jump ahead too much, but you sort of see that they have these like plans in place to like, okay, what happens if they turn on us? And I thought that was sort of fascinating as well.
I found that fascinating as well, and I kind of saw it more of like how like when a bee stings like a human, on how it's like it's a risk for like the bee to like protect itself, and it's the way like Supes are using powers. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
I thought that was a really interesting like element to add to like this universe.
Absolutely.
I think it was a little bit contradicting though what Andre's dad said. Like he talked about having regrets in his life, but he doesn't regret the fact that he was able to provide for his family. And that on face front sounds like a really inspiring quote to say, you know, like you would do anything to protect your family. And he obviously has Compound V, you know, he took Compound V, but to then give that to your kid with the hopes that they do what you did, I think that's very selfish. Like injecting your child.
It's very much the American way, though, Jamie Lee, where it's like a lot of times parents will kind of put things onto their children in America. And I'm sure it's globally, but especially in America, where it's like, I had to go through this struggle and this fight, so you have to do the same thing because I want to protect you. And like, even they think that they're protecting their child, but they're not really. Like an example being, you know, sometimes you see some parents where in Black communities, let's say, they'll say like, you shouldn't date outside your race because, it's difficult. When I was growing up, like, in especially civil rights, you think about that, right? But that's not exactly the world we live in today. And if you have your child think that kind of way, it's very closed-minded. It's not very open. And that sort of same thing, I think, is on display here with Andre and Polarity, where I think Polarity saw like, the best way to protect my son from the world, from danger, from these Supes, from Vought, is by giving him some power, right? And I think that's the attempt that he was doing. I think sometimes, and it's interesting that they do it. He's not dying, but he's dying. And for him to kind of have that self-realization of like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that, but I would do it again if it meant giving you 1% extra chance. So I think that's kind of more what it is. I'm not sure how you feel about that, Marley or Jamie Lee.
No,
that's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
Very, very great way to look at it. But like another thing I saw from like the scene as well, and I don't think like the other seasons of The Boys actually like dive into this all that much. But that's a Vought like hospital, right? And a Vought doctor. Yeah. So I started like my brain started going off like on like wild like an imaginary tour where I'm basically like, what are the insurance rates like? and also because like these are just regular regular like human beings like going here. Like does Vought actually have like an agenda to like make these Supes sick like on purpose and send them to like these doctors? And like that's I was just like
but honestly I was thinking the same
America making the money.
Right. I was thinking about that because too, and it might be an American thing, but like I was also thinking, I'm like, so the doctor is like, oh, you want to get on like these meds, you want to like blah blah blah, like that's like exactly what we do, and like we prescribe everything here. And I was thinking, Marley, like this doctor is a Vought doctor. Is he trying to like manipulate Andre, get him to take medicine, get him to stop using his powers? I just don't trust anything that's to do with Vought right now.
Anything that comes out of Vought is bad news.
Yeah, exactly. I can't trust them.
But am I wrong? Is this the first time that we're seeing kind of like a Vought branded doctor and a Vought like hospital?
No, I think it
maybe
was
in The
with,
Boys, right?
Yeah, I think A-Train had some sort of hospital treatment as well.
And also Maeve, right? Or whatever her name is.
Yeah, Maeve was in the hospital as well. Yeah.
But those were like big Supes. Like this, Andre's dad. Like, not saying he wasn't big, but it's more of like kind of like.
Hey,
the whole
Polarity back in his day. Exactly. Polarity back in his day was a big deal. All right, just wasn't in the 7.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like we talked about like throughout pretty much most of these episodes that Gen V is a very grounded show, and it's talking about Supes from like a very human level, and I feel like that's just where my brain went when I saw that. I'm just like, how are they paying for all this?
No, I get that, because it's like if they have regular jobs and like they're teachers or doctors, it's like how can they afford these expensive Supe sort of injuries and things like that? But yeah, no, but that's what's so great about this show is that it is grounded and is realistic. So yeah, that's a nice little human moment to get, especially going back to what we were talking about with the scene with Kate. Like that was such an intense scene to sort of get like a break for that next moment. It was nice, but short-lived. And Jamie Lee, I'm sure you want to go into what's next.
Yeah, well, I was going to seg with what we're talking about with the 7 being in the 7, because we then jump into the scene with Ashley and the board, and they're trying to pick who will be the next 7. But meanwhile, Kate is down in the woods with Sam, and it was eerie to see her be so manipulative so quickly, and to have Sam, this sweet little puppy, as her bodyguard. Like, she was just standing there like, I'm untouchable. Bob, eat your own hand. Bob.
That was nuts.
Or Greg, whichever one it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she's got Sam as her bodyguard, who they go in, they say, open the cells, and then Sam just, straight in there and rips out the brain. Like, Sam, you are OP, kid.
He is. He really is. He really is over the top. So overpowered. I just, it's funny. We always joke about Game of Thrones sort of being the barometer of like just gore and blood and vicious. Somehow, some way, Gen V took it to another level. Like The Boys is pretty bad. I think Gen V is different because like it feels so real, and it feels like a real world that you're like, that poor security guard. Like, yeah, was he just taking orders? Like, you're not gonna make him eat his hand. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whereas like in The Boys, you're like good versus evil, comic characters and stuff. You know, like it's different with this because it's like a normal person.
Well, I didn't think about the normality of it until this episode, because when Sam was, ripping everybody apart, I was like, no, they're coming to attack him and they're coming to, abuse this poor guy. But now that I've seen Kate and her manipulative, like how quickly she can just do what she's told, I wonder, like, do these guys actually know what they're doing, or did Dean Shetty get her to manipulate everybody and just think you're doing your job? Don't think exactly what she did to Sam. Don't feel anything, and then I have a sense of guilt, like, oh, these poor people, like, I don't know.
Honestly, Jamie Lee, now that you're saying that, I think it's pretty definitive that it is their choice because, it wasn't a mistake to have this political character show up, right? And then like them sort of be divided about like us versus them, Supes versus non-Supes. It's very much all lives matter versus, Black Lives Matter kind of thing. Like, and I think there is sort of this divide in America when this was being filmed too. So it's like, there's a divide of like how people think that, being a Supe should be approached, which is obviously the big finale that we're going to get to here as well. So I do think it was intentional where it's like, you're friends with people, especially when you think about college, you are friends with people. And then sometimes you go separate ways with people just based on morality and like in your beliefs and kind of like your values in life. You know what I mean? So I think it is a moral thing. And also when you're that young, you think everyone's your best friend. You think everyone is so close to you. And like, if you really think about it, they don't really know each other. Like Kate, Marie don't really know each other. Emma, how well does she know Sam? Not really that well, right? So they could have different beliefs, and that's kind of where I'm leaning with it, I think.
I can see that a little bit. Like Sam, I feel like has like the most like connection like with Emma, and I feel like this episode really broke my heart on like those two like together. And like we'll get into that like in a later episode, but later down the line. But like one thing that happened like in like these cells that I was kind of like a little bit shocked by is like when Sam starts seeing Golden Boy again. And I want to know like why they didn't choose to have him see him as a puppet. So like
I think because I think it goes back to kind of what I'm saying. I think it's a morality thing. He looks up to his brother. That's sort of his guidance, right? So his brother as a puppet doesn't quite work because this is someone he longs for, cares for, values. And that's all. And I agree with you, by the way, where you said Emma and Sam are close. But I think you can be close and friends with someone. You can have something in common. Like, we could just be friends because we talk about movies. But like, offline, you could be a total D-bag, and you'd be like, I don't think old people deserve to have health care, and you know what I mean. And then like I find that out about you, then I'm like, geez, I thought I knew this guy. And I think that's kind of
so Tyrone, are you saying that you think that Sam only sees people as a human form when he cares about them or like looks up to them? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's
like,
what I think.
Puppets is everybody else. Like everybody's inhumane to him.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it kind of parallels the theme of the entire series of like humans versus Supes. Like, is one superior than the other? And then at the end of the last Boys season, that's what it was all about. Where Homelander is kind of like, these humans we're better than you. I am better than you. There's nothing you can say or do about it, right? And I think that influence and seeing like, let's call it what it is. Homelander is a political figure, right? The 7 are like political figures. They're influential. And to have young children in college see those words, see those messages, I think it has an influence on them. I do, yeah.
So back to the cells, we were in there. Kate lets everybody free. And I did think this was a little bit off because I was like, what if they're like airborne, like sick? Like what if they're legit making everybody sick right now? But anyway, that was a bit of overthinking. But yeah, she lets everybody out thinking she's helping, or maybe not. Maybe she's thinking, she is going to start this war. And then we go outside the campus and war has begun.
Yeah.
We see the first one is with Rufus and he's doing his, TikToks.
Rufus is trying to be a TikTok celebrity, just like
he's trying his best.
I loved it.
He just wants to hustle and be a viral sensation like the rest of us.
Shout out to my girl Rihanna. I loved that. Back on track.
Move on.
Yeah.
continue where Sweaty Soup basically just melts off of freaking adjunct. Like that. The way he's like asking, like the way this Soup is like going around, like asking if they're super, and the first person that says like I'm an adjunct professor, that person could be joking. They could have been just like.
Yeah.
Yep. Doesn't matter because Sweaty Soup shows no mercy.
Yeah.
It shows no mercy. Just
that was
burn someone's face off. I'm just like,
yep.
And then we get to like the hallway. There's that other teacher as well, and I was kind of thinking the same lines, Marley, where I was like, is he gonna say that he's also a Soup just to get out of this? Like, what's going on there? And then we find out that he's got his own little device, which goes back to originally what we were saying in the stream here. I thought that was excellent. I love that touch of like they have these security protocols for when these Soups kind of get out of line. Because I've always wondered that. I'm like, what happens with a bunch of horned up, crazy, like college students who have these powers and partying and drinking? Like what happens if that gets too out of control? Who stops it? Do they call the 7? You can't call the 7 for every university out there, right?
You can't break glass in case of emergency and just call Homelander just out of the blue, which is foreshadowing for later in this episode.
We can, but probably not just when they're drinking and having a hangover or something.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really cool.
Banging some chicks or dudes.
Or just people. Yeah.
Yeah, so
or animals.
Jeff, we see that Jeff has that device. So he's clearly working with Vought, I'm assuming. He's human, this guy. He's not a Soup because he's not affected by that noise. So yeah, I guess they wanted some sort of human figure on the inside. That's the way I took it anyway.
Definitely, yeah.
It doesn't matter because it's short-lived because he stops that one Soup, which is really cool. She, pop goes the weasel, pop goes the Soup.
So, like, can we just, before you move on to like what happens next, can we just like shout out like that effect? It just like the way it just looks like a balloon. It's like someone's head just like it's so.
Yeah, we got some good special effects this week. Shout out to Loki as well, man. Like the special effects this week have been crisp. It's been tight. And I love it. I love it because with the superhero thing, it can get real cheesy real quick. But like I love to see when they take their time with a nice special effect. I'm actually glad that you mentioned that, Jamie Lee.
It was short-lived because we then see Kate use her powers on him to go outside and live stream literally what he just did to somebody else.
Right.
And Ashley and the Board are up in their little safe house, if you could call it that, trying to pick who's going to be in the 7, and they order Marie to take out these Soups. You will make it if you do this for us.
I love the dialogue too with that, not to interrupt, with Ashley, where she's like, hey Marie, it's Ash. Hey girl, how's it going?
Congratulations, you're a new member of the 7.
Yeah, right. And then Marie's like, actually, I don't really kind of want to do that. She's like, Marie, do this fucking shit, and I will get your fucking sister back here. Yeah, it's like
the instantaneous flip.
Yep. I don't know where they found her.
Do you think Ashley could really get her sister back?
She can do it. She can do anything for sure. I don't think she meant it, but she can do anything.
The whole season 2 could be, maybe they've injected the sister and the sister's some sort of, it could be used as a ploy for many different ways in season 2. But yeah, we see
my name is
Jeff on that live stream, and Ashley and everybody starts panicking and freaking out. The glass starts to break and everything just goes into total meltdown. And she says the words that honestly I was not expecting. My prediction for this episode was that we would get Butcher. I really thought after meeting Grace Mallory last week that Butcher would come on for the finale. I did not, even as much as I can say I wanted it, and we all know how true that is. I wanted Homelander in this series. I really didn't think that they would do that. I really didn't. I thought they'd hold off.
I felt it had to happen. Like I at first I didn't know that they were connecting to the 2 series. And then when you told me that a couple weeks ago, I was like, we have to, because going back to what I said, I was noticing the divide of the morality of Soups versus humans. And I was like, you can't have the main guy pushing this agenda not show up, even if it was just a cameo on TV. He had to be in it. So yeah, what a surprise though that they actually had him execute, and he looks just as evil as always. Oh, that bastard. I can't wait for him to die one day.
Are we actually gonna just talk about like his entrance? Just
Yes,
because
can we?
there's so many things that I was thinking of you, Jamie Lee, the entire time when he flies
Okay.
down on screen. But the one thing that I did notice about that, like when
Marley
he
and Jamie Lee both getting hot over this guy
well, no, the
again.
one thing
I
I
was
enjoyed
no
the
joke. You
most,
should, Jace. Yeah,
the one
I
thing
was.
that I enjoyed most, like about like him flying in, is his theme was distorted. His theme like came in like in a very distorted, like heroic, but you also know it's like it's
It's
Homelander.
not.
Watch out!
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
just like,
It's heroic, but it's not.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah. And
that entrance was. I know I suck
well,
ass of Anthony Starr. I know
yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
his facial expressions, especially I think it was season 3 of The Boys, when he was in front of the mirror and he was, doing that scene with himself, like Homelander in the mirror and Homelander on the thing. And that scene was perfect. And this just took me there again. Seeing him come down, he didn't say a word for like 30 seconds. He was just looking around with that smirk, like, what's he gonna do?
Right.
The intensity of that 30 seconds felt like
Well,
5 hours of what is he going to do?
let's
Right.
take let's just take a step back 120 seconds before that
yes,
happens. So
Sorry.
Kate, no, but
Yeah.
Kate is like ready to
Oh,
use
yeah,
Jordan
sorry.
again, right? And
Yeah,
so Marie is
sorry.
like had enough, and she explodes her arm, and you're like,
Yeah.
holy shit, like what is going on here? Like that is crazy that Marie just did that because Marie's kind of our Spider-Man type, like I'm not gonna hurt someone type of character, right? And so it
But
was like
also, you're not going to hurt her Jordan either.
okay,
that is
Ain't
true.
nobody touching those pretty faces.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when that happens, you're like, oh my god. And then Marley, when that distorted music comes in, I was like, holy shit, they gotta call someone from the 7. This is out of control, right? And Ashley says before, she's like, call Homelander, call
Yeah.
Homelander. And so
break glass in case of emergency.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so
That's
I
what
was
it
like,
was.
uh-oh, he's coming. But the thing that just blew my mind, and I knew because I knew that was his belief. I thought he was gonna kind of go like enough. And like that was gonna be it. Like I have better shit to be dealing with than you fucking, teens, blah blah blah. But for him to look Marie in the eye and go, you would really kill one of your own? I was like, oh shit.
Okay,
Marie.
Yeah.
I have a
You're in
theory.
trouble.
I have a theory right here. Before like we get like the whole Jordan scene, Kate getting her arm like cut off by Marie protecting Jordan. We get a
Yeah.
scene like earlier than that with Marie and Kate kind of like going back and forth, and it's like a super close up shot. I'm starting to think that Kate touched Marie, and everything after like when Homelander arrives and like the whole like Kate scene of her arm getting blown off, that is that's
An illusion.
an illusion for Marie.
It's so hard to say. I mean, I know you all love y'all theories, but it's so hard to say because Kate's mindset where she was so just anti-human. Like, let's take back. It's hard for me to think that in that snap of a moment that she would start
She
to
would see
feel
clarity.
empathy for
Yeah.
Marie. And Homelander showing up has just had everyone's mouth jaw drop. Like, it just seems like a jump. I think what they're setting up is more so that Marie is so fucking powerful that like Homelander couldn't stop her with one sort of blow. And I think that's kind of more like because her power we kind of understand, but not fully. But there also seems to be some very strong interest and also investment in her by some super donor, right? Who is probably the political figure. And like there just seems to be some interest in her power. And so I think that's more where they're leaning. But you may be right, Marley. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Technically, she did touch her because she touched her to say don't help Shetty. So she did, and she had that opportunity to do that. But I'm on par with Tyrone. Like everything that happened after her mindset, she wanted vengeance. She does genuinely believe Supes versus humans. So I don't think any illusion or anything to do with her powers, she wouldn't be even thinking about using those powers unless it was for bad, so even turning on her friends, she was prepared right in that moment to kill Jordan. I think all of that was rage fueled. So
It could be like shell shock at the same time, though. Like, that's why I sort of get where Marley's coming from with this, because it's like, once you get your arm, it could like wake you up to be like, holy, like, what is going on? Oh my God. Like, she gets out of that trance. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because I like to believe, or I'm hoping to believe that Marie's just that badass and powerful that there's something more to it. But you got to remember what we said at the start of the stream, right? These are investments. These characters are your investments. These are the top 5-7 people at the school. So I don't think they want to just wipe them out, because at the end of the day, right, Homelander has his agenda, but Vought has theirs as well. And I think Vaught's agenda is, okay, Kate, get her under control. Sam, get him under control. And that's what the order was to Homelander.
In that last scene, they're seeing, everybody's in this hospital, which is clearly at Vought. They're being monitored and things like that. Marie has it seems like the others are chill. They've obviously been touched by Kate to say, everything's fine, everything's good. And they talked about a blast. Marie's sort of like, what happened? Like, why are we here? Sort of thing, has a little bit more clarity. So clearly she has more power over her
psyche, her mind.
Her mind. Yeah. But seeing Sam and also seeing Kate on the Godolphin TV screen that popped up, and they're the new Guardians of Godolphin. But in the back of my mind, all I keep thinking is, how on earth are you going to control Sam? How can Vought say, all right, you need to go do this, you need to go do that? Why would he take orders from them? He wouldn't. Kate can be manipulated, but Sam, I mean, maybe if Kate manipulated him.
Kind of goes back a little bit to a scene that we skipped over, like the whole Sam and Emma. It's in the theater. It's a beautifully shot scene. It's probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire episode. Of just Sam just breaking down in front of Emma, and and Emma doing the same. And I feel like this moment right here really brought me back to like a lot of like Padme and like Anakin. He's going to the dark side. He's joining like the wrong side, and Emma is trying to pull him back.
Not to interrupt, but that's what I was trying to say earlier, where I'm like, morally, I think they've divided now. They have, like, they may love each other, care for each other, but morally they're divided. And ultimately, how do you control Sam? Homelander. It's Homelander's presence is enough to make everyone stop what they're doing, because they know no one can stop him.
Right.
But Sam doesn't know that. He doesn't understand who this guy even is, probably. So I'm really curious to see how they would interact with each other. I know Homelander already has Ryan in the boys that he's sort of trying to take as like, well, he is his father.
Because he has memories from being a kid and stuff, and Homelander's been around for some time, right?
Well, all the people in the seven, from what I got from like Gen V, they see him as like social media stars, which is very interesting. Like when Homelander like drops down, like in his entrance in Gen V, you see like everyone kind of like, whoa, like I'm used to seeing him like on the small screen, and he's like right there, and it's just like, but what is he gonna do? And I'm just like, it's such a like cool and kind of like haunting reaction from everyone.
But he just has such a presence, Jamie Lee. So I think that, like, I mean, it and also the way everyone else kind of went leading into this next season, it's gonna be all about Butch versus Homelander, right? Billy Boy
for this all season.
Billy Boy ready to save the day. I think he's gonna bust him out, and then I think they're gonna be in the next season of The Boys. What do you think?
Well, we know that definitely Sam and Kate are. I'm not quite sure if they will pull the others in. I really don't. I think that they will focus on the Newman having the virus, and there being some sort of conflict with that. Somebody finds out, or maybe she uses it on somebody. I'm not quite sure. I think the conflict will be more that and Homelander, including Ryan, Sam, and Kate in whatever's Vaught's plans are. I don't think we're going to see the bust out from the Gen V kids until probably the end, where it'll tie into season 2 of Gen V. I don't think it's going to be focused heavily on the Gen V kids in The Boys.
I just want to say, like, credit to the producers of this show. Like, I mean, we talk so much about sequels and spinoffs and like not working, but this is such a phenomenal, like, complementary piece to one another. And I would love the idea if we got Gen V season 2, then maybe we get Gen Alpha or whoever else is next, the Chelsea generation. You know what I mean? Like it's like baby
Gen V kindergarten.
Yeah, exactly.
V.
No.
Right.
Prep
Kendi
V,
V.
whatever you guys call it.
Yeah, and then and just have them link, and then maybe you go back to the Superboys or whatever. Like I don't know, it's just because like you think about like the MCU, the way that they used to connect, that was such a big part of that universe, that to have the parody do the same thing, it's just, I don't know, it's very fascinating to me.
It's how you actually build a universe correctly, not like what Marvel is currently doing with like all these disjointed shows that don't really make any sense. It's just like it's so nice to see something like that's not connected with the mouse.
Yes, it's a perfect show because it did transition so well into Gen V. Gen V transitioned, so well from The Boys into its own show, and it was its own show without focusing so much on, oh, when's Homelander showing up? Oh, where's the Seven? We weren't anticipating them or relying on them so much because these characters were so lovable and we were so invested in these guys. But even little things, as I mentioned previously in our other videos, like posters on the wall, little pop figures of these characters from The Boys that we already know, those slight little Easter eggs was they made the show so much more fun for me. And yeah, I really genuinely loved everything about Gen V. I really enjoyed this series.
It really makes the world feel alive, like a character of its own, Jamie Lee. That's really what it is. It was just, and to me, some of my favorite world building of all time, One Piece, Game of Thrones, that kind of thing. Like it's the world that makes that like as its own character and its own rules and like things like that make it feel so special and inviting. And I think the Boys did a good job of it as well, but I think Gen V really, really just does a phenomenal job of that because the characters are so grounded and real. Loved it. Yeah. I love this series. I really do.
I love this series. I love that it's so grounded. I love also that like there's like subtle kind of like hints to like Gen Z culture, but it doesn't beat you over the head with it. Pretty much most of the movies that I've seen that do kind of like go right into like Gen Z culture, like bodies, and bottoms as well. Mm-hmm. I feel like it was a little bit too much for me. Gen V, it was just like a perfect amount of like that Gen Z cringe. And I feel like I will have like one complaint, especially like with this finale, like during this like the school lockdown when all the like the doors get locked down. There's those two characters that are like on like their phones, and they're like, "Oh, where's the Wi-Fi? No LTE," and they're like freaking out. And so, do you remember those two characters?
I do. Those two girls. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was just like, okay, I feel like you didn't really need that. Like, but...
Yeah.
I think it just emphasized how cringe those characters were. That was
correct. Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. And like, also like, it's just like a nice little breakup. Sometimes when you have like action, it like, it's nice to break it up with a joke.
Yeah, so we thought that was a great finale, yeah? I thought it was wild. I absolutely loved it.
It's not only a great finale, but it gets me, like, I was excited for The Boys, the next season of The Boys, but after this finale, like, I am ready to go. I want that. Yeah. I want those episodes to drop, like, right now.
Totally. I agree, Marley. Like, you guys know, like, I remember I did a panel with a bunch of people, and I was the only one kind of being like, yeah, I thought the last season was good. You guys were like, "What are you talking about? It's the greatest show ever!" And I was like, I mean, no, it was good. For me, it was kind of like, okay, these are characters, and they're characters, and there's a French character, there's the black guy character, there's the like I'm Aussie tough guy character, there's the Americana guy. You know what I mean? Where it's like the nerdy character, but with this show. It takes those ideas, but like they're real human beings with feelings and families and emotions, and The Boys does that to a bit, but it's almost too parody at times. But I think going in from this to that, it's gonna be a nice transition. It's gonna be very smooth and feel right. You know what I mean?
I feel like this episode just crushed me like so much with Sam, because like I just want him to find love. I want him to be happy.
Yeah.
He's been
Marley, sweetheart, we're Gen V and we're The Boys. There's never a happy ending. Never a happy ending.
I don't care about anyone else. I don't care about anyone else. I just want Sam to be happy.
Jamie Lee, I need you to clip that. You go, Marley hun, sweetheart, it's not happening. Like, yes, I need you to clip that.
I hate to break the bubble, but I'm gonna break it.
That was awesome.
That
That was one of my favorite moments doing this panel with you guys. That's amazing.
You're so sweet.
I know he's the best. That's what I'm saying. Marley is just pure. I love him. I love him.
Yeah. To segue that in, we loved Gen V and we loved the boys. I think that's the only way that we can close this out. So thank you so much to everybody who showed up and watched our panels or like commented on our theories and things like that, because our brains are constantly filled with that. So thank you for checking out our Gen V panel. We will definitely be doing it again for the boys, and then hopefully Gen V season 2 2025. So thank you again for watching After the Fact, and thank you to Marley and Tyrone and Taco and John, who've also joined us on the panel as well. Thanks for jumping on, guys. Anything you want to say other than bye?
I love you to bloody death, and yeah, you're the best.
Like and subscribe.
Yes, Marley is right. Make sure that you like this video. And if you're not already, please subscribe to me and then head on over to my gaming channel and subscribe to me over there as well. Down in the description box, I've also got links to all my friends. So make sure that you subscribe to Marley Loves Film and the Circle Club and Something to Taco About and Movie Lovers Unite. So yeah, be sure to subscribe to all my friends as well. And we will see you in the next video. Okay, have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.